Hey guys, I'm here with Alondra again.
Hi.
Well, I mean, it's only been like 10 minutes for us, but this will be the next day or a couple days after. She's gonna tell some scary stories from that she heard on Peru about the ghosts and witches that I've heard a little bit about, which is kind of creepy. Um, I don't know if she had any personal experiences, but we'll find out.
Okay, so while I was in Peru, I heard a lot of weird, creepy stories from other missionaries and also the people that lived there. And there's this one story about this witch. She was taking the lessons from the missionaries, and I think she told the missionaries that she could come out of her body when she was sleeping. She could levitate and go places. And they were like, "Don't do that. That's not good." And she was like, "Oh yeah, I'll try," but she did it anyway. And that night, she went to go see the missionaries. She went to their house. She found their apartment, and she went into their room and she tried to touch them because she always touched people, like their faces, like that, just touch them. That was her thing. That's what she did. And she tried to touch their face. And when she tried to go touch it, she couldn't. There was this white aurora, like a force field protecting their bodies, and she couldn't touch them. And so she left, and then this story took place in Lima. And they told her about the temple in Lima. And she went to the temple as a spirit, and when she got there were two spirits at the door, guarding it. And when she tried to enter, they told her, "You can't be here. It's not your time. You need to go back. You need to do what you need to do so you can come in here. You can't be out of your body. It's not okay." And she was like, "Okay." And so she left and went back to her body and woke up the next day. The missionaries went over to her house to teach her. And she told them, I visited you guys last night." And they're like, "What? No, you didn't. I don't believe you. We don't believe you." And then she explained to them where they lived, the house they lived in, the street they lived in, how their room looked. And they were super freaked out.
I would be too.
And they were like, "You shouldn't do that. That's totally not okay to touch people in their sleep and to levitate out of your body. That's not normal. Don't do it." And then she was like, "And then I went to the temple also." And she told them what the spirits told her, and then they told her, the missionaries told her, that it was because she needed to do some things before she could get into the temple. She needed to be baptized. She needed to live a worthy life in order to get into the temple. And they left it at that because she didn't want to hear anything else. And then they left. End of part 1. Well, that was the end of that story. And
I think it looks better. Perfect creepy ambiance.
Okay. And the next and then the next story, there was a story. Well, my companion has a lot of stories. I'm not going to say her name because that's awkward. But
yeah, I don't mention any names. Sometimes you can give them a fake name.
Okay.
If that works.
Sally. My companion Sally, she had a really hard life growing up. Her parents were always in different houses, but they were always married. But they were always living in different places. Sometimes they were together, sometimes they were separate. And Sally, when she was born, had somebody attached to her. When we were in the pre-existent world, we all had spirits. We were all living with God in the spirit world. And we chose to come down here to Earth to learn, to grow, and to be better people. And when in the spirit world, she had a friend, right? They were best friends. But her friend chose to follow Satan. And my friend Sally chose to follow Jesus. And so went their ways, but her friend what's her name? Martha. Martha could not get a body because she chose to follow Satan. And so, when Sally was born, Martha decided to go with her as a spirit. And so, Sally was born and Martha followed her. And she's been following her whole life. And she's brought a lot of scary things into her life. Sally lived in a lot of houses. She lived in in a total of 30 houses. And then growing up as a child, because every single one of them were haunted. Every single one of them had paranormal activity. Every single one of them had things being thrown.
Sorry.
Okay. Every single one of them had weird things going on, because
I think it's just pine things falling. Acorns.
Yeah.
Sorry.
She always had to be moving, and this one time she was in a house. They watched what's that movie called? The ones with the puppets and they talk.
Oh, Dead Silence?
Títeros? The puppets. I think it's called The Puppets. Yeah, The Puppets. And these puppets...
Don't mind the dogs. There's a dog kennel place down the road.
They're called The Puppets. And these puppets, killed people. And they were, super haunted. They came to life. And, after that, she watched that with her sister and her niece, I think. Or no. Her cousin. And her cousin was, crying, and they were all pretty much crying, and they were home alone, and her parents locked the door because it's super dangerous in that area where she lived. And I think I said already, Ecuador. It was super dangerous in Ecuador. There's a lot of witchcraft. There's a lot of, every single block, so all the houses were, in little boxes like that. They were a bunch of houses, surrounding this box. And there were a bunch of boxes. And these boxes were called manzanas. And, every single one of these manzanas, there were witches. There were sometimes clans of witches. There were sometimes, witches living in one house, and then 2 houses over there was living another witch. There were just witches everywhere in Ecuador. And so there was a lot of black magic, and my companion, every single one of her houses were haunted. And one night she was...
Sorry. What?
It's okay. I think it was maybe my eyelash. I don't know.
So my house is haunted. We'll get into that probably in another video. Try to keep these under 15 minutes.
That's good. Yeah. So, what was I saying? She was in this one house, and
they were watching puppets.
Uh-huh.
And the doors were locked.
And then all of a sudden the kitchen started going off. The drawers were opening, the cabinets were opening, there were dishes flying everywhere, breaking. And her and her sister just ran into their room, and her prima ran into their room. And they just closed the door and shut their eyes while everything was happening in the kitchen. And then they stayed there until their parents came home the next day. And when their parents came home, they looked inside, they were like, what happened? And then they went to go look for the girls, and they were all still huddled in the corner, terrified.
Mm.
And they were at this moment, they were she was 8 and her 9, her sister was 8, and then her prima was like, her cousin was like 5. So she was pretty much traumatized after that.
I would be too.
And there was another story that she told me about when she was in a house. And there was like, she had always, like, cleaned her room, cleaned under her bed. But one day, she was cleaning under her bed, and she found a Ouija board under her bed. And, like, she asked her sister about it because she only has one sister, and her sister was like, I don't know anything about that. And then when she went to sleep that night, she, like, took it out and threw it in the basement. And when she went to sleep that night, she felt, like, knocks on the bottom of her bed. She felt them on her back, and she felt something at the foot of her bed.
Those dang acorns.
She felt like she saw a spirit at the foot of her bed. Like, where her feet were, she looked up, and then she saw a spirit. And then she just went back to sleep and prayed.
That's all you can do in those situations.
Pretty
Pray
much.
and go back to sleep, or just throw the blankets up.
Just hide.
Yeah.
Just hide.
Her friend, or what are they called?
Companion.
Companion, has a lot of similar stories to mine, which I find fascinating because you seem to attract
That's true.
that kind of people, the ones who are always extremely haunted. But sometimes, the way I see it, we're supposed to be haunted. Not that it's a bad thing, like, it's scary, but it's something that you just gotta deal with. Some people can't handle it.
Some people go crazy.
Yeah.
But some people think it's not real, it's just their imagination.
Yeah. Sometimes it is. Not gonna discount
Yeah, it's true. Some
mental
people actually
disorders, but
schizophrenia. Ugh.
with, like, I was checked for schizophrenia, but I don't have it. It's all real. And she can attest. We'll talk about some other stories that happened in this house. So creepy.
Yeah. That was my past life, thank you.
Not past life.
Yeah, but before I went on the mission.
But we're not saying that all witches are bad. Like, if you want to practice witchcraft, go ahead. I don't support the black magic, but sometimes, that's a gift some people possess. You don't have to agree with me, but...
Come on.
But, I don't want to get anybody angry, just because that's what you feel like believing in. We all believe in something different, so... You want to tell them what the witches do over there?
In Peru?
Mm-hmm. Because you were telling me a little bit.
Oh yeah, they just, like, cast spells on people, and, like, I once went to this service project, and we went to this place to clean it up, and it was burnt to the ground, but there was a witch that lived there, and she would, like, make people fall in love with other people. She would kind of control lives.
See, I don't think that's right.
Yeah.
Don't come at me, witches. I'm just saying, I think you should let people do what they do.
It's creepy. And, there was this one time where I was, with my companion, I was knocking on a door, and I was talking to this guy. While I was talking to him, my companion saw this spirit. My companion, Sally, she saw this spirit literally walk out of his door. And the spirit was black. It's not a good spirit. She can see black spirits and she can see white spirits. And the white ones are good and the black ones are bad. And she saw a lot of black ones.
See, the spirits I can see shadow people, but most of the time they look just like you and me. Like, straight up. You can only tell the difference because the clothes they're wearing are dated, or just the way their face kind of, like...
You ever met anybody from the 80s?
I don't think so. Mine are mostly from, like, the 1800s or 1920s.
Ooh.
Past.
Flapper girls.
Yeah, those are stories for a different time. Okay, so that's the end of this one. You want to say goodbye? I mean, you're just gonna film another one
Okay.
after this, but that's it.
Adios.
Bye.
Have fun.